Hi, Max Salazar. Welcome back to my channel, Draconum Dawn, where I read my book, Draconum Dawn, to you for free. And if you happen to like me reading to you, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you have time, visit my website, draconumdawn.com, where you get some insightful information about the characters and about the terminology. All right, let's get started. Last week, I finished up with the prologue, and now we're going to get into part 1, chapter 1. Kira. One still rotation since her first flight to the human city passed, and a brisk wind once again ruffled her ruby feathers and pink comb, causing her muscles to tense up briefly in defiance of the sharp chill. Her eyes squinted, forming a singular tear. It stayed in place at the far corner of her turquoise eyes. It was the first of its kind for the entirety of her race. Not a single member of the Quets had ever developed a teardrop. It was not that they did not have emotions. In fact, they were taught almost from hatchlings to control their varied and powerful feelings to the point of seeming devoid of them. The formation of water around her ocular glands, however, was unique. It was another step in the revolution. She would make note of its occurrence and the circumstances around it in her personal log, but would refrain from sharing it for the time being. Thoughts of her mother barraged her nearly every day, adding to the severe toll the unexpected and unprecedented leadership took. It had been a full stellar rotation since her death, yet time had failed to be the tincture to ease her soul as her Uncle Vol had promised. Anyone could be watching, and in particular, any one of General Jack's zealots. She knew that she must steel herself now and forever onward, and mute the negative scenes in her head. Her left foot felt uneasy with the coarse gravel beneath that jabbed and tore into it. She turned her foot to force out the sharp rocks that irritated her soft pad, causing them to plummet into the dark abyss. Again she espied the distant Seattle, whose prosperity and grandeur continued to stir her heart. At night, its bright city lights radiated a deep yellow, but she knew from experience that up close they were a barrage of different hues of blue, red, yellow, green, and violet, each with its own meaning. What a sight, she thought. The Quets must live in quiet seclusion while the bipeds are free to roam about. As a hatchling, she failed to understand why her mother, heir to the Sokran clan, supported hiding in the depths of the mountains, living off of the bland though nutritious synth food, when with their superior technology they could have ruled over all of Spirit Tur's creatures. In time, she learned that humans, as they called themselves, were deceptively strong, and their true power came from their large numbers and dogged determination to ravage all around them in the name of prosperity. History detailed the first biped machines as clunky, black-smoking monstrosities, but recently the refinement began to be reminiscent of the Quetz's own earlier tech. Soon they would catch up, and upon discovering their reclusive neighbors, decimate their inferior numbers. Some of the clan elders felt that Spirit Tur would deal with the bipeds in due time through disease or from some natural disaster, which seemed to be occurring with the spread of several man-made contagions. Either way, the time for a Quetz campaign of power and dominance was gone. The bipedal numbers approached 8 billion, whereas their own was limited to only a few thousand, thanks to careful eugenics. They also opted not to overly consume their resources and preferred to live in balance with all around them. As Kira remained motionless, her thoughts raced in perfect synchronicity, working to achieve the goal of solving the quandary that engrossed her every waking minute for the last 3 days. The time had come to make a decision, and the answer had finally come. She would lead her race towards a new order, one that would ensure their safety and protect them from being discovered by the bipeds below. It would, of course, curtail Quet's flights, regardless of the time of day, and despite the use of the EM Scrambler. Their scientists continued to develop the tech fastidiously for the past 10 years in the hopes of providing all clan members the freedom of flight during regulated schedules and zones. Nonetheless, She feared that the increasing technology of the humans was catching up too quickly, and that their survival necessitated this extreme policy. A few of her most trusted clan members would maintain a highly restricted privilege to fly, but only for reconnaissance reasons and only with her express permission. Soon she would also reveal her plan to all of the Quets to vacate Tur and seek out a new world, a planet free of the disastrous bipedal creatures and their filth. She believed that within a few stellar rotations, work on a vast interstellar ship could be completed. Its construction would have to be done on the far side of the natural satellite, Seln, to prevent detection. The scramblers would hopefully be their saving grace. Damn those creatures, she thought. Dealing with General Jack was another problem she would have to contend with very shortly. Jack was likely behind the mysterious death of her beloved mother, though the evidence still eluded her and her uncle. Still, as the appointed Minister of Defense, chosen by her mother during her reign, he held great sway when it came to matters of security. He was also the leader of his clan, the Draconum, which gave him a powerful voice in the Council of Elders, which she now presided over, much to his consternation as he coveted the seat of power. His influence as a clan elder also meant that she could not remove him as the highest-ranking warrior without risking a coup, which could result with Jack as Supreme Chancellor, pushing her towards excommunication. His flamboyant and fiery rhetoric was already beginning to sway the elders towards his side. They could agree with his plan to make their presence known and, if necessary, wage war to ensure survival. Kira saw him as no more than a fear-monger and war fanatic. She solemnly prayed to the Creator that he was nothing more than a soon-to-be fad passé. Why her mother made him the most powerful minister was beyond her thinking, and that of her uncle. It was a political move for sure, but to serve what end? She did not know. It eluded her no matter how much she focused on it. Regardless, a time of reconciliation with him rapidly approached. In this moment, however, she opted to take one last flight before passing her judgment. The sun was nearly set, and she was anxious to test out the new EM Scrambler for herself. Her personal guard since birth, Lieutenant Colonel Aquila, a rare, trusted member of the Draconum, had thoroughly tested the new version of the device herself to ensure it was not rigged with any intentional defects. She placed it on her left wrist and activated it by warbling a command. A faint, steady hum ensued. Her body began to tingle and soon became invisible to even her own eyes. Satisfied, she looked down into the valley and allowed herself to drop. The Scrambler, which held improved radar blocking capabilities, gave her a sense of newfound power as her fear of detection faded. Leadership had its perks. The elation of flying invisible ebbed as she stepped into the secret chamber of the Council of Elders, the Sala Eld, and walked towards her seat as Supreme Chancellor, centered in the apex of the stone great hall where, for millennia, her ancestors met. A single bird represented each of the 4 clans, with her clan holding 2 seats, Clan Elder and Supreme Chancellor, giving her a tie-breaking vote if necessary. The well-groomed and purple-robed General Jack represented the Draconum, the warriors of their race, known for their excessive combat and tactics training. Naturally, they tended to be larger and more physically powerful than the rest, giving many of them a sense of self-righteousness, which the others felt was often a trade-off in their inability to think critically. Elder Lune, in her elaborately gilded golden robe, led the Stora, or historians of the group. They were responsible for the accurate documentation of their entire history, as well as its safeguarding. This included all meeting notes from every council meeting for more than 100 millennia, giving them the deepest insight into the outcomes of countless political happenings and their repercussions. The Scientia were responsible for all scientific and engineering endeavors. They are arguably the most important clan in the group. They control and can manipulate the advent of technology. Their leader, draped in copper robes, is Libor, an enigmatic bird with growing ties to Jack. Val, Kira's uncle, took leadership of the Sokran in her stead when she was voted unanimously to the throne, likely to sway any speculation that the other clans or their members were responsible for the recent assassination. The silver-clad Val openly opposed Jack and worked with Kira to plot against him at every turn. As such, he was her greatest and most trusted counselor. The Sokrans were the legalists, whose responsibility was to write and enact all laws and regulations of the clan. Their strengths lay in the ability to politicize any situation to their advantage. A small shiver ran down Kira's spine as she steeled herself from the fierce opposition she sensed awaited her. The decision was difficult, but the extreme consequences of human detection far outweighed the benefits of evening pleasure flights. Her beak slightly shivered as she spoke. She took quick control of the powerful emotions that came to the surface as she spotted the seat her mother once gave heat to and spoke slowly, but with great assuredness with her high-pitched voice. I have tested the new EM Scrambler, and based on the feedback provided to me during the flight and upon my return, I find it more than acceptable. The improvements are well noted. A momentary ruffling of feathers caught her attention, but immediately subdued itself. This was the moment she lost sleep over. Yet, I cannot in good conscience allow for our clan to continue their evening flights, and hereby suspend all personal outings. Only those that I personally deem to be necessary to our survival will be approved. Further, I am greenlighting Operation Ebon Sky. Construction of our new vessel is to commence immediately. Of course, I understand the elders can still veto my decree, so I am opening up the floor to further debate, and after 2 clacks, a final vote. General Jack remained perfectly poised throughout the announcement and waited for his Supreme Chancellor to be finished. Calmly, he turned to face the rest of the elders before eyeing Kira directly. The leaders of the store and Scientia held the general in great reverence due to his many personal sacrifices to their race, and as such had always given him the right of first speech. Val, on the other hand, held no awe for the decorated warrior, but ceded the floor in hopes the worn soldier would land himself in a trap. He aimed to simply observe and only speak if the need required it. From his granite perch, Jack spoke with the utmost level of calm. Supreme Chancellor, he began his polished address. There is no need for such a vote, and may I be the first to openly support your decision. The safety of the clan must come first, he firmly stated. Further, it is in my opinion that Tur is decidedly lost due to the destruction of the ocean balance. Do not the Scientia clan attest that it is only a matter of a few deca rotations before atmospheric temperatures are too hot for our sustained existence here? The ruffling of feathers resumed more audibly this time, as Libor solidly warbled his agreement with the general. Kira observed silently. Val peered towards the other birds and noted their all-too eager support of the general, who he thought must obviously be planning something. Another glance towards his niece revealed her well-performed stoicism as well. Together they knew that an internal threat would likely come in the next few sound cycles, but some sort of negative response was still expected from Jack. Was his trap set too soon, his continued vendetta burning that hot? The general continued. We must be united on this issue and give our full support towards Her Excellency. Of course, Your Highness, I would hope, nay plead, that a select few of my warriors be among those allowed to continue night operations. He paused briefly to grimace with a certain level of stern import. In concert with our defense program and certainly under my direct supervision, no flights will take place without my singular approval. He nodded towards Kira. Val, noting the agreement of the 2 other clan elders, jumped in. I believe you mean the Supreme Chancellor's approval, General Jack. Jack quickly turned to face the Sokran elder. But of course, Elder Val, I believe Her Excellency made that abundantly clear just now. I only mean that my talent-selected few will not fly without first obtaining the proper approvals, and I am sure that the Supreme Chancellor would not want to be disturbed by my subordinates. I will, of course, be the one to bring our daily flight plans for signature. The general's countenance gave way to a near imperceptible grin that Val immediately caught, but before he could pry any further, the aging loon spoke up. I agree with the Supreme Chancellor and with the General's request and offer my full support. We should forego any further discussion and vote to end these proceedings unless the Supreme Chancellor has anything else that she would like to discuss. Safety to our clan, she roared. Safety to the clan, the rest echoed. Libor quickly agreed, leaving Val bound and forced into showing his consent to the General's request. The trap was set, and he missed it. He and Kira would have to meet at a separate time to try to uncover what exact ploys were being set against him. What was supposed to be the shackling of the General now became their own bonds. Kira, satisfied that her plan was approved, spoke. So be it. For the safety of our clan, I will review the General's flight plans, which will be submitted 1 week prior to any dive. I have nothing further to add and consent to ending this gathering. Val was thundered by his niece's quick footing and felt his pride grow as she appeared to easily sidestep the ruse. Or maybe she also had other plans. Maybe she thought to continue her evening flights. As for General Jack's demeanor, it remained unchanged. Was it a feint, or was there a deeper threat that they had not counted on that remained uncovered? Only time would tell, but he needed to act. As rare as they were in their history, a coup still remained a possibility. Val walked with his niece towards the invisible door that led to her personal chamber from the Sala Eld, and grimaced when he saw her guard, the short-feathered Aquila, standing by for her ward. Secretly, he loathed the bird that always seemed to interject between him and his niece. He quickly corrected his grimace and spoke. Aquila, so glad to know that you are always prepared to ensure the safety of my precious niece. Oh, but forgive me for using your given name, Colonel. An old bird like me is so apt to forget such trivialities, he grinned. Elder Val, there is no need to worry about that with me. I have known you my entire life. But of course, when it comes to the safety of the Supreme Chancellor, I operate with extreme prejudice. Certainly. But you have protected her since she was a hatchling, and you are just a promising young recruit. I have always felt that your clan would be better off with you as elder. Maybe my niece will make such a promotion when the time is right. His brilliant and polished teeth peeked out from his beak. Kira, after seeing Aquila, allowed her guard to drop further and lost herself in thought once again, missing most of the verbal exchange. She reached her chamber, stopped, and then allowed for Aquila to do her job, scanning the room with a small sensor that she held in her left claw. As they waited, her uncle gave her a slight nudge. So, Kira, what do you think of Aquila as Minister of Defense? He grinned as he thought of shifting the balance of power in their favor. Uncle, I'm sorry. I was busy thinking of other matters, though I am not sure that now would be the appropriate time. Replacing Jack could result in a coup. The clan members would resent the change and move to overthrow me despite their recent vote. Glancing in her direction, she continued, Of course, Aquila's appointment would give me great joy, but would also mean finding a new protector. A difficult task for sure. She has cared for me for so long, and who else would give their life so willingly should the need arise? Besides, I greatly cherish our constant companionship. Although stoic, Aquila beamed internally at the kind words. But she would never abandon her ward. The mere suggestion seemed a ploy. Well, my niece, no one ever knows what can happen. Jack could fall ill. He is an aging bird, after all. Besides, so many young female warriors assuredly love you and would eagerly accept a position as your guard. The irony in this comment was that Jack was in great health, even by the standards of younger birds, and a new personal guard could result in a potential weakening of her safety. Oh my, Waltz spluttered out. There is plenty of time for one more meeting. I need to speak with Elder Libor on some matters. Please accept my departure, my dear. Naturally, uncle. Pleasant evening, she bade. Yes, of course, pleasant evening, he replied. Her quarters cleared, and Kira walked towards her personal workstation in hopes of quickly clearing up any remaining work before she retired. Aquila approached the Chancellor and prepared to speak freely as had been her custom for many years. Noting the wear on her ward's once unblemished facial features, she decided to first address her health. Concerned, Aquila spoke. Kira, when was the last time you fully rested? Already I can tell that you will not perch for more than 3 hours tonight. Something is wearing on you. She quickly approached. Aquila, there is no rest for us, she retorted. I deal with the strain of our entire clan as well as the threats on my life. You fret only over me, though I am not sure which is worse. Truly, I do not know either, she quipped. Either way, try to rest for me if you would please. But first, I also mean to ask you about your Uncle Vol. How is he faring as your successor? He's fine, but always fretting over me. I would rather he focus on my clan and not so much just on me. I can't even get a bite to eat without him leering over me. Of course, he has been a great support to me since my mother passed. She paused. I still can't believe it's been a full Still rotation. Aquila frowned. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that we continue to revive the circumstances behind your mother's death, and not an iota of evidence supports an assassination plot from Jack, save one bit. A feather was found in these quarters at the time of your mother's death. We just proved this morning that it belongs to Jack, though currently that evidence is accessible only to the reviewing scientist and me. They have already been debriefed to not utter a sound about it, but the feather is also as old as you are, so not an avenue we will likely continue to pursue. Kira blinked often and heavily. General Jack has been a bane to my family for as long as I remember. But your previous advice seems more than reasonable now, and I think I should rest after all. The work will be there for me in the morning, along with the mystery of my mother's passing. Aquila hoped Kira would find rest, and was grateful for it as she stepped out to her adjoining but more Spartan quarters. Her aging, hollow bones were ready to rest themselves. As she settled at her desk seat, an idea formed. If Jack had a Supreme Chancellor assassinated, he would be the obvious suspect. He would also lose many of his flight privileges, which he enjoyed so much, and replace them with endless bureaucratic happenings. Besides, Jack was always more the hunter-warrior than politician. He also knows about Kira and I, and as such personally selected me to be Kira's caretaker. So, what would he have to gain by taking the role of our leader? But if not him, then who? It must be someone else, she thought. But who would want Kira's mother dead? All right, sorry for the interruption. Computer froze, as I said, but I hope you enjoyed the storytelling nonetheless. Again, if you liked the video and you like listening to me read to you, please click the like and subscribe buttons, and we'll try to get more content out to you as soon as possible. All right, take care. Goodbye. See you next week.